Welcome to today's episode. Today I'm going to give you 5 tips to stop being so lazy. Let's dive in. I used to be somebody who was very lazy. And in fact, there are definitely some times where I am lazy, but it just doesn't go throughout my entire day. Like after 6 o'clock, I'm pretty damn lazy when it's during the week. So when I was younger though, I was a very lazy kid and didn't really do anything or care to do anything. Didn't want to go to work, didn't want to do any of that stuff. And so I do think that you can be lazy and also still succeed. And I do think that laziness is not a trait that you have to have forever. I think it's something that you can be. Sometimes it's kind of like something you could, sometimes if you're an introvert, you can turn it on and be an extrovert for a party that you go to and then turn it back off. Well, your laziness can be the exact same thing, I believe. And so if you're a lazy person, if you're a procrastinator, if you're a self-sabotager, all of those things, this episode is for you because I know that in order to get the life you want, it requires effort. And if you're being too lazy, you're not putting the effort in, you're not going to get the life that you want. And so let's dive into those 5 different things. Number 1, I want you to start being honest with yourself. I want you to just stop lying to yourself and I want you to admit to yourself, I am lazy. Or I have been lazy. And then tell yourself, I'm not going to be lazy forever. It's like a 12-step program. The first thing is you have to just admit. You have to stop lying to yourself. Call it what it is. Once you admit it, once you become aware of it, then you start to work to overcome it. I personally have a different viewpoint than I think most people do. I think that humans are just inherently lazy. I think most people are inherently lazy. I think there's some people that I see that have so much energy and I'm like, I wish. Like if I had that person's energy, I feel like I'd be 10 times further than I am in life. But I just ain't got it. And I think that most people don't have it. Are there some who are blessed with copious amounts of energy? Sure. Am I one of them? No. Are you one of them? I don't know. Probably not as well. I think the majority of people don't have a ton of energy. Okay, so that's the first thing. Just accept it. Become okay with it first. Therefore, you don't have that internal resistance like you tend to do all the time. Right? Number 2 is to take your goals and to make them bite-size. And one of the things that I realized in for years, I would do New Year's resolutions with people and we would do, planning sessions and I would do a webinar and we'd do all the planning for the year and I'd help people come up with their goals. And then I realized as I started talking with different types of people is that some people are motivated by that. And then some people, because it's a year away, it feels far away. It actually feels more demotivating for them. And to sit down with somebody and then say, let's plan out the next 10 years, it can be extremely demotivating them because their brain is more process driven and they start thinking about all of the things that they have to do over the next 10 years in order to get to wherever it is that their goal is. And then in their head, they start to get so overwhelmed because they think they need to get all of those things done over the next 10 years, done today. And then it becomes too much for them. So if you're that type of person, and you're more motivated by short-term goals, then take your goals and make them short-term. You can make them this week. What do I need to do this week to get further? And then if you want to get even more short-term, you can go to today. And then if you're really just an overthinker and you want to make it even more short-term, it could be, what do I need to do in the next hour? What do I need to do next 5 minutes to get me closer? And then you just focus on those things. And so I always give this example just because it makes it very easy. But, if you are a sales rep and you want to make $100,000 this year, if you've been a sales rep for a while, you know your numbers. With this amount of calls, I get this many pickups. And with this many pickups, I get this many people closed. And with this many closes, I make this much money. And so if you come at it and say, okay, I want to make $100,000 a year. Okay, well, how much is that per month? Okay, that's just over $8,000 a month. In order for me to make $8,000 a month in commissions, how much do I need to be bringing in? How much sales do I need to be bringing in over the course of a month? Let's say that's 40 sales for you. Okay, 40 sales. And there's 4 weeks in this month, so I need 10 sales a month, which is basically 2 sales a day. Can I get 2 sales a day? Well, let's see. If I do 50 calls, I'll usually get about 2 sales. Okay, so all I need to focus on every single day for the next year is just doing 50 calls a day. And now that's the only thing that you focus on instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, this goal seems so big, it seems so far away. The third thing, and this one's a fun one, is to find your why. And the reason why I love this is because I've got a new story. And I always tell this story as well because it's so perfect. And you'll care about your goals and you'll kind of maybe get there. But when you care about your goals and you're sitting there and you're like really invested in your goals, you're more likely to get there. And the example I've given so many times, and I'm going to tell you this story and then I'm going to tell you a new story because it's funny how it relates. I was used to give speeches and I would be in rooms of people who, make $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, and they're pretty consistently been making that amount for a while, right? And I would sit in their rooms and I would say, hey, what's the chance of everybody, what's the chance in your room of you making $1 million this year? And everybody was like 0%, 1%, 2%. And I'd say, what's the chance of you making $1 million this year? And if you don't, there's a gun to your head and everyone that you love is going to die, including yourself. And everyone would say 100%, 100%, 1,000%. There's no way that I won't hit my goals. Okay, cool. Well, did the goal change? No. Did the time frame change? No. What changed? What changed is the why behind it. It's 100% possible to hit that $1 million a year. It's 100% possible for you to hit the goal that you want to, but you just don't have a strong enough why behind it. Number 4 is to remove all of the distractions you possibly can. I wrote about this in my book, Level Up, and I said that the people who have that are the most consistent at taking action are not the ones with the best willpower. Like people think they have this amazing willpower. It's that they've built an environment around them where their willpower is not tested. And so, when you're being lazy, when you're procrastinating, when you're not doing what it is that you need to be doing, you're not just sitting there staring at the ceiling. You're doing something else. You're doing something. That's why I've not really said procrastinating as much as I used to. I'm reframing procrastinating into avoidant behavior, is because when you're procrastinating, you're doing something. And that something is to avoid whatever it is that you're trying to avoid. So that is an avoidant behavior. And so you're doing something. The question is, what are you doing? And anything that is a distraction to you needs to be removed. So, when I really sit down to get productive work done, I like to call it deep work. That comes from Cal Newport's book called Deep Work. My phone is my greatest distraction. It is. And I know that it is. And so what I do is I take my phone and I put it inside of my kitchen drawer and I leave it in there when I'm really trying to do deep work, so that therefore I don't even have that distraction around me. And then the last one that deals with this perfectly, if you're going to sit down, you're going to get work done, you're going to need to do the pomodoro technique. I'm not going to go deep into the pomodoro technique. I've talked about it so many damn times in this podcast. I have an entire episode that talks about the pomodoro technique that you can go back and listen to. But essentially, it's very simple. When I sit down to work and do really, really deep focus, I use the pomodoro technique. It's 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. So for 25 minutes, I can do one task and one task only. And the only other thing I do have on my desk is a timer. And I set it for 25 minutes. And I do 25 minutes of dedicated work on one thing and one thing only. Then after I'm done, I give myself 5 minutes off. In those 5 minutes off, don't look at your phone. Don't go talk to somebody. There's only a couple of things that you should be doing. You could go for a walk if you want to. You can go outside and just stare at nature and stare at trees. You could close your eyes, do some breathing, do some meditating, whatever it might be. But the point is your brain is so stimulated in those 25 minutes is not to go do something else and stimulate it, but is completely to de-stimulate your brain so there is no stimulation coming in. And so it's 25 minutes on, 5 minutes of absolutely nothing. 25 minutes on, 5 minutes of absolutely nothing. And what happens is you start to focus on being more productive, focus on being more focused, because both productivity and focus are like a muscle that you can build within yourself. You become better at it. And so you might be lazy right now. It's okay that you're lazy right now. I was lazy for a good portion of my life, but then I started building up. It's like going to the gym. It's like building up muscles. I was building up these muscles to be more focused, to be more productive, get more stuff done. And it's like a light switch. Sometimes I walk into the gym and I work out. Sometimes I don't go to the gym and I'm not working out. That's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, you're probably going to love this new thing I have coming out called Mindset Mentor Plus. It is something I created to help you fully integrate every single episode into your life. So you're not just listening to it passively, but you're actually actively listening to it and engaging with it. And what's going to come with it is every single episode of this podcast that we create is going to come out with detailed worksheets of exactly what we taught, deeper stuff and information so that we can go more deeper into the topic than we did in the podcast. Because obviously we don't have a whole lot of time to go in the podcast because these are only 15 to 20 minute episodes. There's going to be prompts and journaling so that you can journal and actually start to figure out how each episode integrates in your life. And then there's going to be assignments so you can actually get assignments done to become better and improve as well. So it ensures that you're not just a listener of the podcast, but you're actually a participant in the podcast. And there's going to be exclusive Q&A sessions with me that we're going to do. There's going to be access to an entire community that will eventually be thousands of people in it that you can connect with and become friends with, and maybe some people live in your area, all for less than you probably spend on coffee every single month. And the people who are the founding members are going to get a discount. So to sign up for the wait list so that you could be a founding member and be the first to learn about it, go to mindsetwaitlist.com right now. Once again, mindsetwaitlist.com. And then we'll email it out to you before we announce it to anybody else. So if you're interested, go to that website. And with that, I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make somebody else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing